Salutations everyone, this is Razor bringing you guys another Overwatch 2 video here today talking about Hanzo, the other one-shot kill potential character that is getting nerfed in this season to where his storm arrows were just lowered from 125 damage to 120 damage, so 5 damage decrease. And what this does, breakpoints wise, is that you can no longer one-shot headshot 250 HP targets like Mei and Reaper. Of also, anything else that might be that level of heals, a tank that was damaged, or, something that was squishier that had over health or something like that. And I think Hanzo is going to fare a lot better than Widowmaker. She got a much bigger nerf, and where she is strong is now in a much smaller range, to where Hanzo is not going to be affected by like a range nerf or anything like that. It's just, damn it, he's going to do five less damage in everything that he does. So yeah, he's going to be hurt outside of just headshot damage. He's also just going to do less damage to the body as well, and you're going to charge your ult up a little slower, and not one of the better ults anyway. Obviously has really good combinations that we're all familiar with. But when it's all said and done, it's a decently fast charging one though, even as far as DPS ults are considered, but definitely not a consistent one. But Hanzo, I feel like he's been getting a lot of hate and attention the past couple seasons. People asking for him to be nerfed, which is very interesting on a multitude of ways, because nothing in his kit has really changed in the last 6+ years. I mean, obviously he got the change from the scatter arrow to the storm arrows, and then they gave him the leap, and then I think they changed the leap cooldown like 3-4 seasons after that to where it is now. But they never changed the damage or headshot multiplier or his HP pool or anything like that. We've never really seen much of that. Ult charge, nothing like that has ever been changed. So all of a sudden now he's a problem. The character that was a lot of people considered to be the worst in the game, even when he had the potential to one-shot kill without a headshot with the scatter arrow back in the day. But a lot of people, probably newer players or people that have just now are encountering more Hanzos than they might have in the past, whether it be Overwatch 1 or earlier in Overwatch 2, because more people are gravitating towards Hanzo. People are dying more to Hanzo. And I think a lot of that happens because they do not give Hanzo the same respect that they do a Widowmaker. If a Widowmaker's popping, a head or two, then okay, I can't just willy-nilly walk around this corner, or I got to be careful if I get staggered or I'm out of my spawn or something like that, or I'm about to turn this corner. I know a headshot from Widow is going to get the kill. But we all know Hanzo can also do that, but we don't treat him with the same respect when it comes to doing something stupid with your positioning or movement, right? Because you don't expect the Hanzo to hit that one-shot headshot, because he doesn't have a scope. It's going to be harder to hit that headshot. It's projectile. It's not hit scan. It's not going to be an instant, you wait and you wait and you wait, click and delete. It's not as easy as it is for Widowmaker. But so people do not give it the same respect, even though he can do the same thing. And another thing is, people just assume a lot that, oh, I'm just getting killed by random no-skill headshots from Hanzo. But again, you aren't respecting him, so you're walking around this corner that I know you're coming, because I sonic arrowed that corner, because I knew when you were going to come. I knew when you were, coming from the spawn, because I know my respawn timers, or I heard you coming around that corner, or I saw your teammate or something like that, right? So people just assume that it was luck when it was I saw you coming, like a Widowmaker with her sights up. That you're just waiting to die if that combination comes out. Hanzo with his sonic arrow is the same thing. It's just as dangerous. It's just a little bit more difficult to hit. And interesting that he is getting a smaller nerf. Dink, not a one-shot headshot, but still would have been if they weren't previously injured. I actually picked this game specifically because I do not get a single solo kill with a one-shot headshot in this game, and I still go 34-5. I still dominate this enemy team, and so I think he's still going to work out in this new season, because he doesn't rely on getting value via the one-shot headshot. Sometimes it can be a bonus. Yeah, sometimes you shoot it through a crowd, and because it's a projectile and not a hit scan, you're not going to know that it's going to be a headshot until it does happen. But that doesn't mean you weren't aiming for that to happen, right? It's not a random arrow that's just bouncing off of walls hither and thither. And Hanzo is a bit underrated in some respects and a bit overrated in other respects. I think he's a bit overrated in his one-shot kill potential. Most of the time, you're only going to get like between like 0 and 3 of those in a game anyway, depending how dumb the enemy team is and maybe how good your shots are, or just like how often they all bunch up to where you have a higher probability of just hitting one of those 2 or 3 heads that are bouncing all together, right? But the sonic arrow is something that I feel like is super underappreciated with his kit, because like we all know like basically how to use it, but like how do you get value out of it? How do you use it and make it count to where you put yourself in a better position than if you didn't have the sonic arrow? Granted, yeah, you can, spy check a Sombra maybe, which is, usually going to be a crapshoot unless like you saw them teleport toward that direction, or you think you might hear them teleporting to where you pop it. Maybe you find them, maybe you don't. And a wrecking ball that is, they went to like a mega health pack, but they're still behind you, and so you try to scout them out with the sonic arrow. Those opportunities are nice and very straightforward, but when it comes to just like a corner, like I did before, or like I'll do later on, something like Eichenwalde defending on point A, I'll put a sonic on that corner or right out of their spawn to where the game just started. Maybe their tank isn't the first one out, or maybe they don't have a shield to protect them. I can just line up that headshot, get the first pick, and then boom, we snowball it from there. We win the first fight of the entire game because I had a sonic arrow and they didn't respect the fact that I have a sonic arrow. And the sonic arrow is now getting a quote-unquote nerf because the sound effect from your enemy's perspective is going to be louder, so you're going to know more often when you have been hit by a sonic. But that's just like such a niche interaction that I don't feel like it's really a nerf to the character. And Hanzo is also like kind of meta right now. Like you'll see much more Hanzos than you will Widows, and you'll see Hanzos do a lot better than Widows, even when the Widows do fairly well. And a lot of that is due to the fact that people don't maybe know how to fight against him, because they're used to him just being static in the back, firing off shots and not leaping around all over the gaff, getting sonic arrows in the right spots to challenge. Even at longer ranges, sonic arrow can still be useful, even when you know exactly where your opponent is. A typical thing that I do a lot, especially if it's like a long range duel where they have maybe their own Hanzo or a Widow or a soldier that's getting pocketed. He could one-shot me with the Helix, or to where I need to hit the headshot, otherwise they're just going to get healed because they have health pack or soldier soda can or a mercy pocket or something like that. I'll be behind cover. I'll shoot the sonic arrow where I know that they are, and I'll climb up the wall, fire the shot where I know they are because they've been sonicked. I can pre-aim where they're going to be and where I need to aim my arrow, and I'm not going to be in danger of getting one shot myself or killed very, very quickly, because I'm just climbing that wall, firing, and then I'm falling back below that wall in cover. So the window for me to get punished is super duper small. Meanwhile, I have a good idea of where to place my arrow because I've sonicked their exact position. So even though they might have a mercy pocket or their own self-healing or something like that, I can still get the one-shot kill and not put myself in danger via the sonic arrow and climb jumping a wall, right? It's super useful, and I don't see enough people doing it. Dragons, you can get a surprise dragon through a wall is always nice, or on an off angle or a perpendicular angle to another threat of attack from your tank or something else that is drawing their attention. And no one really expects the dragons. It's one of the faster charging ultimates in the game, which is balanced by the fact that it's not one of the good DPS ultimates. It's really not. but you can still get really good value out of it outside of a really good combo by getting it through a wall that they're not expecting, or sometimes where they are expecting. They're on the cart. I know you have to be on the cart in order to get the progress, and boom, they lose their tank, and we can just clean things up here. It doesn't matter that I die. I'm respawning 20 meters away. Meanwhile, they're getting killed via a bit of a trickle there. Their Brig dies after I do, then the Moira, and they just have the Tracer left who gets cleaned up by the Sigma. So his value, I think, is a bit underrated, especially the Sonic Arrow. It's a silent value thing. It's a silent value thing. You or your teammates or your opponents aren't going to really know when the Sonic Arrow made the difference. Only the Hanzo player is really going to know when it's like, yeah, that Sonic Arrow placement really made a big difference. And he's also not super duper diveable because of that leap away that he has. And if he gets jumped on by something like a Winston and you have Storm Arrows ready, that's a lot of easy headshots against a close range character that you don't need to ADS for or search for a small head. Even though Wrecking Ball has a small head, you can still scare him away. The Winston is not going to do enough damage after the leap to match your output to where you might scare them away. Maybe you get them low enough to where your teammate kills them after you get killed or something like that. You punish them for that aggression. And utilizing your wall climb, taking height, even when you know that's not where you're going to want to end up at the end of the fight, starting off there is there's no skin off your nose, and the ability to harass anyone at any height is super duper valuable. I mean, just take a look at any time a soldier's on high ground and they're not contested, or a Cassidy or something like that, pocket or no pocket, it's just free value that they're getting that not a lot of characters have the ability to contest. And when it comes to these skirmishes, these scrappy fights, Hanzo is a bit underrated because he has the burst damage of the Storm Arrows. He has the leap and the wall climb to be a bit of a squirrely character. And you might have to get a flick, not even just a headshot, but just a body shot or something like that. But you might have to get a really good flick, your close quarters, because you're jumping all over the cart. But he has the sustainability and the firepower to make a really good difference in a more multitude of ways than people expect Hanzo to be useful at. So he's losing 5 damage on the Storm Arrow. You can't one-shot headshot your Maze and your Reapers anymore, but he doesn't rely on the one-shot headshot, and I think will still maintain his value. Hanzo, still his time to shine, and I think that will continue even going into this season.